This is my honest review of the new Shark FlexFusion. Quick backstory, I purchased this with my own money, so this is a completely honest review. I've had the Dyson Airwrap for 3 to 4 years, and at first it worked so good. It would hold my curls. It was the only tool I was using basically. And then in the last year and a half, the curls don't hold anymore. I don't know what has happened, but no matter what products, what method I've tried, the Dyson Airwrap is just not working for me. So I've just gone back to using my regular blow dryer and curling irons. But when I saw that this came out, I was really intrigued by the straightening attachment as well as the blow dry attachment, and I like the wet to dry technology. So I'm gonna go over the pros and cons and what I think about this, if I think it's worth it, if I think it's better than the Dyson, and hopefully this will help you make a decision. I'm gonna go over the pros and cons of the Shark FlexFusion. Let's get started with the cons. Number 1, this thing is so loud. Let me show you. No, seriously, this hurt my ears the first time I ever turned it on. Other air stylers like the Dyson, Bondi Boost, whatever, are also pretty loud, but this one does take the cake. Even my Apple Watch was like, you're in a loud noise environment. Number 2, the on-off button is all the way at the bottom of the tool. So this thing is pretty long. So if you're curling your hair, you have to reach all the way down to turn it on and off. This is just a learning curve, but I would have preferred if the on-off button was a little bit higher up. Number 3, the straightening attachment. This thing is pretty bulky. I will say the first time I used it, my hand and forearm were really cramping. But again, it's just another learning curve, and also remember that this isn't a regular straightener. So yeah, just do with that what you want. Number 4, this thing gets really hot, which can be a good thing, but also be careful because you can really burn your scalp. I mean, you can lower the heat, but you also want high heat, especially if you're using the curling attachments, so that way your curls hold. So just be careful and be mindful because this thing gets so hot. So be careful not to burn yourself like I did. And number 5, there is a learning curve to this tool. It is a multi-styler tool, so it's really cool with multiple attachments, but there's definitely a learning curve just like all the other air stylers out there. So you have to find out what products work best for you with this tool, what methods work best. So really it's just having patience and finding what works best for you. Now on to the pros of the Shark FlexFusion. Number 1, I really love the wet to dry mode technology that I haven't seen in any other tools before. So they have a dry mode that you use on just your dry hair, and then the wet to dry mode that you use on your wet hair to dry it. So I think that technology is super cool. Number 2 kind of goes along with number 1, but it is the scalp care technology. So basically you hold down the heat button and it turns into scalp mode. And what it does is it just lowers the heat. So that way when you're rough drying your roots, it's not burning your scalp. So I really love that because we're all about scalp care here. Pro number 3, I was ready to hate on the straightening attachment. I had very low expectations and then I used it. I've used it in the wet to dry mode on damp hair as well as on dry hair. And for all the curly girled, wavy girled hairs that cannot for the life of you straighten your hairline, this thing works so good. So it completely dries your hair. It also straightens it. It feels so soft and smooth afterwards, and your ends don't feel all gross and dry and brittle after using a regular straightener. So this thing is honestly pretty cool, and I think my favorite attachment of the tool. Number 4, the round brush attachment. I was a little hesitant in using this because of the plastic pins. These kind of just scare me because I'm scared that it's gonna pull out and yank my hair. But I will say, this thing makes your hair so smooth, and I love in the dry mode, this heats up right here and really just smooths everything out. So this is another great attachment, probably my number 2 attachment on this tool. And lastly, pro number 5, this thing gets really hot. I know this was on my cons list as well, but I think it's ideal that it gets so hot because of the curling attachments. It gets a lot hotter than the Dyson, so the curls hold up a lot longer. I tested this out, so compared to the Dyson where my curls were only holding 15 minutes max, my curls held up about 5-6 hours, which honestly, I'll take it. So yeah, also a con because you can burn yourself, so just be careful, but it's a pro because it does get so hot, so the curls and the other attachments work a lot better. So Swanky Lexus, what do you think of the Shark FlexFusion? Great question. So I do like it, but I will say that I think the stars of the show are the straightening attachment and the round brush attachment. I'm still a little iffy on the curlers and I still have to keep playing around with it, but if you're gonna get it, I would get it because of the straightening and the round brush attachments. And question number 2, Swanky Lexus, do you think it's better than the Dyson? Because I tested out the curling attachment a couple of times and they did hold a lot longer than my Dyson curls, and the straightening attachment is so cool, the wet to dry buttons, the technology, I will say I do think it's better than the Dyson, and it's cheaper. And the last question, do you need this tool? Yes, if you want a multi-styler air styler, I think this is the one to go for. I love the technology on this. I think these attachments are super cool, especially the straightening one. And the curls did hold up a lot longer than the Dyson, so I'll give it that. If you need it though, I mean, if you have a blow dryer, a curling iron, a straightener, I mean, you don't necessarily need this tool, but if you want an all-in-one, this would be the one to go for. So I've continued to use the FlexFusion and I'm finding out what products and methods work best for me. So if you end up getting it, remember just to be patient and find what works best for you, because what works best for me might not work best for you. Everyone's hair is different. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to be kind and gentle to your hair. Bye.